Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Packer Franchise Podcast. And for the second night in the last couple days, I'm having a special guest on tonight's episode of Packer Franchise Podcast. Is actually one of my good buddies, Packer Zone, who's honestly been a had a lot of success in recently with his page. And if you would like to introduce yourself.
How's it going, everyone? Packer Zone here. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to have this opportunity.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm glad, we can arrange a day for, have this podcast.
Let's do it.
But, okay, so right off the bat, I made a IG post on my story, like some topics we can do.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And there's actually only 2 questions.
Oh, we can make a lot of it.
All right, so the first question is thoughts on the Packers defense so far as they approach, preseason.
Man, which is only 2 days away as of when we're filming this. That's crazy. Defense, man, I'm excited. If anything, I'm more excited for our defense this year than our offense, which is tough because I'm a super offensive guy. I'm like a huge offense fan, just in general. But, man, Mike Pettine's done some pretty good things with our defense. Last year, a ton of improvements, and then obviously this year we lost some pretty big pieces. We lost Nick Perry, we lost Clay Matthews, and the previous year we lost, Burnett, Dix. But we've made some pretty solid additions, I think, and we're putting youth on our side.
Yeah.
I think a good move, especially since we have a history with injuries and throwing youth on our side. So I'm excited. Very excited.
Oh, yeah, and same here, like, with the additions we've had so far, this offseason, and also if you saw Lambeau Leaper's post on training camp, it sounds like the defense, especially Rashawn Gary, and, I heard Adrian Amos picked off Deshaun Watson at training camp.
Yeah.
So that's good. But, yeah, it's mostly Rashawn Gary and Smith's, Za'Darius, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
sounds about right.
Yeah, shout out to Lambeau Leapers, by the way. Thank you for covering the training camp.
Yeah, there's a lot of pages out there covering training camp.
Oh, yeah. But I think, with his IG stories, just covering every single play, which is awesome.
I didn't see it, but, yeah, I mean, literally, you probably want to fill me in, but as far as I can tell from what I've gathered throughout all of the news I've been getting, is that we have a ton of potential this year when you look at our young guys, Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary, Darnell Savage. Look at the veterans, Kyle Fackrell, Blake Martinez, the list goes on and on. The mix that we have, the chemistry that's been built under the watchful eye of Mike Pettin, it just seems like a recipe for success. I don't know. In my mind, we're going to have a really good year, and it's not an unpopular opinion to say that.
Yeah.
Other big names out there, big NFL analysis, people that do the NFL analysis, they're saying that the Packers are going to be pretty good this year, especially defensively. So I'm very excited for that.
Now the one question that's been frequently asked about this defense, and do you honestly believe this Packers defense can be top 5?
I've never been on that train. Obviously,
it could happen.
It could happen. Obviously, it could happen. Anything could happen. We could be the best defense. We could be the worst defense. But if we're going to look at it realistically, over the past couple of years, the progression that we've made, the additions that we've made, the people that we've lost, I think it'd be pretty fair to say top 10 or top 15. But top 5 is pretty steep. There are some incredibly talented defenses out there. But again, though, kind of have to wait to see what happens. But based off of what I'm looking at now, I'd say top 10, top 15.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like somewhere around the 12th and 11th rank, top 10.
Yeah.
It depends. Like we gotta play Mahomes, and
there's a lot of factors that go into it. It's not just.
Oh yeah.
You can't. There's only so much you can predict, honestly. Like that when you come into the April, May, June, July era of the off season, that's when I start getting really just excited for the season because I get so sick of predicting because there's only so much predicting you can do until it's just you're done. There's nothing left to predict. So honestly, I'm just done with the talking. I'm ready to see what they can do. Honestly, 2 days from now, preseason, so excited.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be an exciting time. And the second question from the poll: over or under 5 years, Matt LaFleur will be in Green Bay for 5 years as a head coach.
Ooh. That's a tough one. I mean, I can't really answer that question. I mean, it all depends, in my mind, on how he coaches this year. If we find success, we make the playoffs, and I think he might be here long term.
I mean, I think it honestly depends. Yeah. Like Packers Zone said, it's hard to predict. But I think it honestly depends on Rodgers, because in 5 years he'll be 40, 41 years old.
Yeah.
And
you look at guys like Tom Brady, he's 42 and he's playing this year, and he signed a 2-year extension. The guy's going to be 45 in the league still.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, but I still think maybe after this year, I think he probably is going to retire.
Really? You don't have to sign any extension?
Well, they said about he could still have a void after the season. Like, I forget who broke the news, and it was a reliable source. Like, it wasn't just any Brandon Page.
Right.
But this is Packer podcast, not Pages podcast. We're not worried about the Patriots. But
that's true.
Yeah, those are our two poll questions. Honestly, on this podcast, I was actually talking. Packers and I were talking. We were gonna talk about Packer fan memories, like, as me and him are obviously Packer fans. But the first question I kind of want to ask you is, when did you become a Packer fan?
Me? Oh gosh, I don't actually know the specific year. It wasn't even too long ago. I think it was 2012 or 2011, and I think it was actually 2012. One of those years, but it was around then, and I actually didn't even know what football was. I was just a little kid. I didn't know what football was. I was just like a baseball guy. I really had no interest in sports, and my dad took me to the Green Bay Packers at San Francisco 49ers. No. It was the Packers at the Seahawks game. Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if that was before or after, or I don't know if that was before the big rivalry started. But anyway.
That was the Fail Mary.
I had no freaking clue what was happening. I couldn't even see anything. All I knew was my dad was cheering for the Packers, and the Packers won that game. And so I asked, who won the game? He said, the white team, which was the Packers, because they were wearing their away uniform. So I'm like, okay, I'm a fan of the Packers then. And that is actually the true story. So since then, every year I've just grown in loving the Packers even more. Mm-hmm. But it started just by that. So I wonder if the Seahawks would have won that game, if it would have been a Seahawks.
Yeah. Hey, wait, you said that game was in 2012?
It was 2011 or 2012, I think. I mean, it was somewhere around there. I'm not 100% sure. Did they play the Seahawks?
Yeah, they played in 2012. It was the Fail Mary game.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute. They lost that game, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about 2008.
No. It wasn't that far down. Well, it might have been that one then, but I don't remember. All I know is that the Packers either won or did really well, and I became a Packer fan the day. It might have been we won, but maybe not.
No, it's all good. I mean, in the end, you chose the right team.
Chose the right team, and man, I'm so happy because I truly believe that there is not only no team, no organization like the Packers, but there is no fan base like this one. I live in California, which is a long way from Wisconsin. Like, that's almost across the whole country. And it's a little more than halfway. And there are so many Packer fans just in this area where I live, San Francisco area, the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So many Packer fans. I don't see people rocking other jerseys. Like, you'll see your 49er jersey because that's the city. But there's Packer jerseys everywhere. And I went to the SoCal Packer Backers event. There were hundreds of them there. So I truly believe there is no fan base like the Packers.
Oh, no. Green Bay fans are definitely the best in football. And, I mean, I know every fan base is going to defend their fans, but, like, if you're going to be realistic...
we freaking own the Packers. We own the team.
Oh, yeah.
No other fan base can say that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But to answer my question, how I became a Packer fan...
Yeah, how do you become a Packer fan?
It was actually a long time ago, 2004. It was the game, same teams, Seattle and Green Bay,
Oh wow.
and it was actually, I believe it was a Matt Hasselbeck overtime game where he said, "We want the ball and we're going to score."
Oh man, that's like one of the most iconic ones.
But I was so little, like I was watching Brett Favre play, and just from that day forward, I mean, I've really enjoyed Green Bay football.
It's one of those things. It's like it doesn't have to be a huge day, so it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to run in your family or anything. It could be the smallest thing, but for some reason that one stuck. I mean, I've been fans of. I like when it comes to like hockey and baseball. Like I don't know. I've just like sports are interesting. I like the sports, but I never really found a team that stuck. But with the Packers, it's stuck and it's stuck for good. Like there's no getting out of this. When you're a Packer fan, you're a Packer fan for life.
Exactly. And I love Brett Favre. Brett Favre was, I mean, Aaron Rodgers now my favorite player.
Brett Favre game ever.
You missed out. Brett Favre was my favorite player. I mean,
by the time I became a Packer fan, it was all Rodgers. So.
You got to rewatch some Brett Favre games in your spare time.
If I had more spare time, I might.
Brett Favre was, I mean, he was just incredible to watch. Same with Rodgers. They're both incredible. I mean, it's very, blessed for us Packer fans to be able to watch back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
That's true. That's true.
But we're going on to, since we're going on a Packer fan trend, I mean, like I said, this podcast, like, it was a little bit about, like, the team and mostly about, like, how we became Packer fans and, favorite moments.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah. But the second question is, what was your favorite Packers game in about maybe last 5 years? So about 2013-14 season to about 2018-19 season.
So pretty much the whole time I've been a Packer fan.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a couple good memories. I'd say, I have a couple. One would be the most, like, the biggest adrenaline rush I've ever had in a Packer game would be, I forget what year it was, I think it was 2014, the year that Brandon Bostic done screwed up. But was that 2014 NFC Championship game?
Yeah, it was.
2014. I've never enjoyed a game more than that game. Just the back and forth. We had a huge lead that whole game, and going into overtime. I know the overtime didn't go preferably, but that probably overall, even though we lost, was one of my favorite games ever to watch, just because it was a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and it was just huge. And I know we lost, and it was pretty devastating how we did, but biggest adrenaline rush watching that game.
Oh yeah,
one.
And
people like to discredit that game as like a terror. I mean, that's a huge moment in Packer history. So really good, blessed to watch that one. But another big one would be Aaron Rodgers' first like major Hail Mary in Detroit. That
I remember where I was.
Screamed so loud in my life. Like everyone thought the game was over, and then we got this extra play. Like, first of all, I'm like, this is going to be laterals. Like, there's no way.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when I saw that face mask, I'm like, Rodgers can do it. Rodgers has the arm. He can do it.
Really?
Oh, yeah, dude. Aaron Rodgers.
The last thing that went through my mind, I was like, this guy's not going to throw this far. This guy winds it up. He throws the highest ball I've ever seen. And Richard Rodgers, of all people, comes down with it just so beautifully. And, man.
Credit to him, though. He executed very well, though.
True. That's true. Great game. Fantastic game.
Oh, yeah.
What was your favorite game?
I actually got 3 in recent memories. But before I do, I want to say, like, back to the Seattle game.
Yeah.
If, I can't blame Brandon Bostic for the loss. I mean, I was upset, but, like, I can't not blame him for the loss.
I mean, you can't blame him for the loss. He did make a big mistake, but who you really can put the finger on?
Mike McCarthy.
Well, you can throw it on him, but the defense on the 2-point conversion that Seattle had to do. Again, remember, Mason Crosby making that field goal sent us in overtime. It would have went for the win had we defended that 2-point conversion. And I've never seen a more sloppily defended play in my entire life. That was a disgrace.
Yeah, I don't know, but enough with the bad games, because I know people are having flashbacks to it, which we apologize. But on to good memories. I actually have 3.
Okay, well,
in order, my third, probably week 1 of last year. The Bears game. No, because I remember where I was. I was in an Xbox party with my buddy watching a game. And when I saw Rodgers was down, I'm like, oh my God, Rodgers. I'm like, Rodgers is out. I don't know what we're going to do. Like all this sad moments. And then all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers comes out and just be like, hey, listen, it ain't over yet.
That's the thing I love about Rodgers, man. The guy has more heart. People would love to talk about how much of a selfish player he is, but no one has more heart than him. I mean, to come out on after the injury he took, which actually was a significant injury. People don't like to talk about it. That was a significant injury. To come back after that and lead back a 20-point comeback to win in Chicago. I think it was in Chicago. Was that Chicago?
No, it's in Lambeau.
In Lambeau, but against Chicago at least. Prime time, week 1. I mean, oh my gosh, what a quarterback.
Oh yeah, I mean it was definitely a great game, and just to be able to see him do that against, and people like to say like, oh, it's the Bears. You don't understand how good that Bears team was this year.
Dude, the Bears, they won the division. They almost made it to the divisional round of the play. The Bears are good, man. They're really good.
Oh yeah, that Bears defense, best in the league. And people don't want to give Aaron Rodgers the credit of like, oh, he's 0-37 against team winning record. I don't like that stat. Sorry to get off topic, but I do not like that stat at all. If you look at half the games Aaron Rodgers lost in those games, he had the lead in either the defense, which I hate to have the point finger blame because you win as a team and lose as a team, but it's either the defense or something like that. Like
I that's another reason I have optimism for this year, because maybe for the first time we won't have to start blaming the defense. Like maybe our defense will actually start blaming people and then let Rodgers do his work, and that could lead to a really good year. I mean, people are saying 10-6, 9-7, 11-5 at best. But honestly, like I'm not saying this biasly. Like if all goes right, we stay healthy, we could have a phenomenal year. Like I'm talking 1-2 seed. You never know.
I'm saying 3 seed max. I still think 11-5 for Green Bay.
I mean, I predicted 10-6, but I'm saying we have potential. Like you cannot say that there isn't a chance that we.
Oh no. There's potential. We'll just see what happens. We'll just see what happens in preseason with Matt LaFleur's play calling in week 1 against Chicago, and then we'll see where this team goes. But all right, the second favorite moment. I know he lost his game, but how about the drive in the Arizona game in the playoffs? That last drive, by Rodgers, 4th and 20, and that Hail Mary. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I still think that's the greatest throw of all time.
Which one? The Cardinals one?
Yeah, the Hail Mary throw.
With the Cardinals? Yeah. Oh my God.
I think that's the greatest throw of all time.
Dude, I could just sit and talk about Rodgers' abilities for decades, man. This guy, he was literally, you talk about Mahomes, no one passes. This guy was horizontal in mid-air, and he launched like a 70-yard.
Dude was getting pressured by a really good Cardinals defense that year. Off his back foot, had to twist his body and throw a dot. And people say like, "Oh, you just throw it up, ain't that hard?" To throw up accurately, like Janis didn't have to move much; he kept throwing straight.
I keep forgetting about that one. That might be the greatest throw.
I remember I was in my living room and I took off my jersey screaming because I was so freaking hot from celebrating. And of course, 5 minutes later.
I would have too, but I didn't celebrate because I thought for sure Jeff Janis dropped that ball. I thought for sure Jeff Janis let it touch the ground. That's why I didn't celebrate. And then once they put the review on it, it was like he didn't let it touch the ground. I was just in complete awe, just in complete shock.
Oh yeah, and my last.
And of course, we lost that game in overtime.
Oh yeah, but my favorite moment it has to be the 2016 playoff game against Dallas.
Oh,
It has to be because, listen, first off, this was against a team where everyone was like, Green Bay ain't going to go into Dallas and win. Green Bay.
Didn't they go 13-3 that year?
Oh, yeah, Dallas was like really good. And they're like, Dak Prescott beat Aaron Rodgers Lambeau. He can beat him in Dallas. And I heard Skip Bayless, which I know Skip Bayless, probably not watching this podcast, but if he is, I've heard all the talks you had all week about how Green Bay was going to lose this game or how Dallas was going to go to Super Bowl. And Jared Cook and Aaron Rodgers broke your heart. And Mason Crosby.
Yeah, Mason Crosby, what a goat.
Mason Crosby.
But he's really good.
I thought that ball was going to shank left when he first kicked it.
I mean, it went left, and then, I don't know, somehow, miraculously, a gust of wind in an indoor stadium came and blew over.
But, like, just from that team to overcame, because all week, Dallas this, Dallas that. No one picked Green Bay to win. Heck, I think even...
And then we got our asses handed to us in the championship. But
yeah, this... I mean, still, that was my Super Bowl that year. I mean, yeah, we lost, but listen, that was my Super Bowl. To prove people wrong that, Aaron Rodgers can be clutch in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, so many people say Aaron Rodgers is, like, not clutch, or one of the, like, least reliable quarterbacks in pressure situations, which I do not understand how dumb you have to be to say that.
I think
there is so much.
I think the dumbest comment I've heard is when Lions fans bring up like that they swept us for the past 2 years. But you gotta look at those games. First off, Aaron Rodgers didn't play in 3 of those games, and second off, if our special teams were good, we would have beat y'all.
That's true. Didn't Mason miss like 5 field goals one of those ones?
And I mean, I don't understand why Mike McCarthy let him kick. I mean, I understand like you want momentum, but let the offense out on the field. If you're having a bad day, I mean, it's just not your day, unfortunately.
True. Well, I hope we can stick it to the Lions this year. I think sweeping the Lions is going to play a big role in how we do this year. I mean, a lot of I think the playoffs this year are going to rely a lot on 1 or 2 games. Like, it's going to be that 10-6, 11-5 area. That's going to be the sweet spot. And a lot of teams, I think, are going to be in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So winning in the division is going to be very important. So I'm saying games like Detroit, Minnesota, like these kind of not small games, but kind of these average games that we usually lose a couple, I think they're going to be key in us doing well this year.
Oh yeah. Back on you mentioned SoCal Packer backers.
Shout out to the SoCal Packer.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Shout out Drew Cave. Shout out Frank Settletown. Shout out Real Pack Talk. Shout out SoCal Packer backers, the actual account. Shout out to all those guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously I live on the other side of the country, so I wish I would be able to attend. Which, I mean, I'm pretty sure is a very lit time, and it's obviously. And like back to that though, I wanna ask, since you were interviewing a bunch of all these like Packer fans, and some of these fans obviously have very good platforms on our social media.
Yeah.
How was that like? Just going out to a SoCal Packer event and just interviewing the fans and having interactions.
Oh, my dog just went crazy. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's all good. We got.
So, what was your question again?
I said
interviewing all these people.
Yeah, like how did that feel? Like just going there and having just fun interaction. I mean, it seemed like you had a very great time, which obviously you did have a great time.
Yeah, it was an incredible time. I think the biggest part of it, the biggest contributor to the good time was just seeing how many Packer fans there were, how many enthusiastic Packer fans that there are, like just all over the country, and especially in this corner of the country where you think you wouldn't find them. They're still here. But man, I think talking to these people, like it was definitely a little bit out of my element. I've never done anything like that, so it was kind of breaking new ground. And
hey man, I mean, I mean, when I started this podcast and interviewing, people, I mean, I get nervous I don't know if, like they said, like, not nerve-wracking, but, like, it, it takes time.
Well, I'll tell you, like, starting new, I'm not saying tournaments, but, like, starting new things in, like, the Packer community, because that's the one we're on, it can be nerve-wracking sometimes. Like, you and I don't remember, there might have been someone else, starting, like, the whole podcast train, that was kind of a new thing in the Packer community that didn't ever happen. It used to be just strictly updates.
Well, see, Matt,
if you're a Packer fan,
yeah.
you post updates. And then you started a podcast, and it kind of moved to the bar a little bit, which actually kind of inspired me to do something similar to Packers All Weekly, which that's what it ended up being.
Well, my podcast was actually inspired by, Matt Ramage, which shout out to him. I mean,
yeah, he went from Packer memes to Matt the Packer guy, to Matt Ramage. Started posting videos. He inspired people to make podcasts. Like he inspired people, which inspired people like me to make my show. It sets trends. So doing the interviews, I was kind of hoping that maybe that would also kind of expand out somewhere and kind of continue moving the Instagram Packer community forward.
Now here's
maybe some other stuff, but it was a ton of fun to answer your question. A ton of fun. Met some really cool people, and the coolest thing probably is meeting people that you've seen online for a long time, and it's crazy how similar they are to what you think they'd be like. You know what I mean? Like you think for sometimes, like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna meet this person that I've seen online for like 2 years, they're gonna be so different. But actually, not really. Like they're exactly what you think they'd be. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got some of my, like, obviously with the group chats, they're like, I remember talking to someone on Xbox, they're like, man, you sound so different. I think you would be different. Like, nope. But no, like, I really want to, meet you and, other people too. I mean, it'd be a great time.
We'll make it happen, dude. One of these days, we're all going to meet up in a Packer game in Lambeau.
Dude, let's go to family night and go to training camp. But, one little question too. I have to know, did anybody, recognize you when you're about to interview them? Like, did they knew you were Packer Zone?
Yeah, I didn't like talking about it, but quite a few people actually did. It was kind of shocking. Like, it was so weird to me. I'm literally a nobody. I am a kid in California that sits in my room and makes Packer videos. That's it.
Okay, but let me ask something on that.
I had people coming up to me and asking for pictures with me, and I had took selfies with people, and it was so weird. It was so strange. I'm like, why would you want a picture with me? No one should ever want a picture.
Well, here's the thing, though. You've created, and like I said before we started this podcast, you've done things that, honestly, like, I don't think any other Packer page would do. You've, let your personality out, which is a great thing, because, with some, pages, they don't really express their personality. I mean,
that's true.
Like, that's what I did with, like, live streaming, playing games with my followers, which I...
Likewise, though, with your podcast, I mean, it's a way to connect and kind of change.
Oh, yeah, and I really think, giving back to the community, like, with the followers, I mean, they deserve something, live stream playing video games with them, or just talking to them, having a great time. I was going to do a podcast with my followers, but that didn't go as planned because it kept buffering and all that stuff, so it unfortunately didn't work, but...
I mean, all this stuff, though, I mean, it changes the game, and it's furthering a great community and just making it even better. But, yeah, I did meet people that some people recognized, and it was really cool, and I got to meet so many cool people, and I would totally do it again, but, man, I'm telling you, we need to meet up, and I think it would be so much fun if we all came together, like, collaborate. Like, I'm telling you, if I lived to, like, really close to another Packer page, we'd be collaborating all the time, making videos, but we're all spread out throughout the whole country.
But here's the one thing, though. We have, Instagram and all that stuff. Like, with the podcast, too. We can definitely, have, like, Packer Zone Weekly and Packer Franchise Podcast collaborations.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's the power of the freaking internet these days. A lot of people don't like where social media is going. I love it. Like, I'm not a huge social media guy either. Like, I'm not, crazy on social media, but I love where it's going. I love what it's enabling us to do. Like, if you think of 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, like, there was no way for Packer fans to connect with other, or not just Packer fans, just people in general, to connect to people of similar interests. There was no way for that. And then with the expansion of all these social medias and stuff, people are able to meet other people that are super similar to them that you never meet in the first place. Like you and me and guys like Real Talk, these people would never have ever met each other.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks to a common interest online, making these communities, like it allows for that. And I think it's super cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we said, it's a very special place. Like you never know who you're going to meet with on the internet and talk to. They can honestly be like one of your favorite people ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's,
cool stuff.
We're about 30 minutes in. We could probably do like one or two more topics to talk about. Back to like, let's get more on the Packer fan trend. With your page too. I gotta ask too. When you first started with the page, when did you officially say like I'm gonna express more of my personality? People so they can know me better. Because I know like some pages out there like they don't want to release like their personality or something like personal. Like you've made like a personal page. I want to know like because some pages are probably watching this podcast and like thinking, how can I do that?
Exactly. It's not for everyone. I'll say that first. I know it's not. I'm not saying anyone. Not everyone can do it. Anyone can do it. But some people just don't enjoy that kind of stuff. And some people don't want their face out there. But
oh yeah, we're not forcing it.
Like when you said like when did I want to do that?
Yeah, like when did you think like I really want to get myself out there more?
Well, it kind of started off. I'll give you a really quick, long story short. I started off making the first Packer site I ever made called KJE Packer Site. That was the name of it, KJE Packer Site. And I ended up getting 200 followers over the course of like 5 months. And it really didn't go anywhere, but I still enjoyed it because I was making Packer content. And I always had this vision of making some type of show, but I was like, this is not going anywhere, so I gotta stop. So I quit. And then the next season, which I think is now, I think a little over 2 years now, which is crazy. But the next season, I started again and just made it I called it Packers Zone. I'm like, this is probably going to be similar, but I'll try it a little harder. And it took a while before it started getting traction, but eventually it got to the first 1,000, and it kind of just progressed after that. Which, by the way, if anyone wants to start a page, just know that like it's not going to come really quick. Like,
it takes a while.
Time, and it definitely takes dedication. You got to be posting a lot. You got to enjoy it. That was actually made a Packers weekly about what like some tips on starting. And my main one was if you don't do it unless you actually enjoy doing it, because you're not going to have motivation to post if you're not enjoying it. But that's besides the point.
Especially like since I'm getting up there in age. I mean, and people always ask me how come you don't post much? It's just hard when you get older with age, and when you're working like a full-time job and stuff. Like, listen, if I was at my, if I was able to, I would love to post Packers updates 24/7. But with full-time job, family, and also like especially in the summertime where you just want to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, people think you're a bit like free sometimes, but no, I mean there's so much going on.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but I still haven't answered your question. But basically, it was once I had enough followers that I felt like people would watch. I was ready to do it from the day I started Packers Zone 2 years ago and I had 50 followers. And it wasn't that I was like, oh, I want a lot of people to watch this. It was that well, I guess it kind of wasn't. But it was more of like, will people actually watch this? Like, if I did it now, I'd put all this work and money into something that no one's going to like enjoy. So once I really decided to do it, once I had a decent enough following, which I'm still one of the smaller pages respectively to other pages, but once I started to get like, once it was like the 7,000 range, I was like, okay, I think I have enough where people would actually kind of watch and enjoy it. And then it really wasn't about me getting my face out there. Like, I was totally fine with making an audio podcast, but honestly, it was way easier for me just to film video. I don't know, how hard it is to do the audio, but I tried. It just was kind of confusing to me. I was like, this should be so simple if I could just make it a video. So I just decided to do a video, and it ended up working, and people liked it, so here I am.
And the rest is history.
But like you, like I would do exactly what you're doing, but it just was too hard. I didn't want to do all that editing.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
more
actually,
video editing instead of like audio editing.
yeah. But like, you know, and it's for anyone starting out, want to start a podcast. I use OBS Studio.
Yeah.
It's a free, software and all that stuff. It's really easy. Yeah, it's like really easy to start a podcast and highly recommended. Which,
If you're out there and you want to start a podcast or a show, go for it. But
oh yeah,
make sure you want to do it. Like, if you're gonna do it, stay committed to it.
oh yeah, and back to like the follower thing. It does take time to get followers. Like, listen, I started my page back in 2015, like right before the playoffs started. For like when we played Dallas.
A lot of people expect it to go quick. It does for some people, but for most people, it takes time. And that's kind of I mean, if you're doing it just to get followers, like, if you're like, oh, my goal is I'm going to have 20,000 followers, and you're doing it just for that, like, it's not going to go anywhere. The beauty in it and the beauty of getting people that actually care is the growth of it. Like, when you were at 5,000 followers, like, like, a lot of the people that are following you, you're starting to gain, like, not a relationship, but, like, you're starting to gain a community. You start to recognize names. You get to go back and forth. And that's kind of like, and those people stick with you. Like, the bigger you get, you start to just kind of grow onto that community. You're not really worrying about the numbers as much as just, enjoying yourself doing it. And then the numbers will come if you do that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I
don't know if that made any sense. But
no, it did. It did. But yeah, it just takes a lot of hard work and dedication. And, in the end, if, you can achieve something as long as you put the hard work and dedication into it.
Yep.
But, last topic, since...
Unless you're a Bears fan. Like, if you're a Bears fan, don't even try to make a page. You'll suck anyways.
Well, but Lions have won a division.
Lions, Vikings, and Bears fans. If you guys want to make pages, they're going to suck anyways, so don't even try.
Oh, man. But yeah, last topic of the day, this video will be posted a day before preseason football, which we finally made it.
So excited. Oh my gosh, you just made me so excited.
I want you to give me 3 players you think are going to have a good performance in Thursday's game against Houston.
Ooh. Okay. Think about this for a second. 3 players. Okay, one, I'm going to say Jamal Williams, because I don't think they're going to give Jones many.
No, they're not.
Carries. So, I'm going to say Williams. I think he's really going to prove himself. He's going to do really well. I think we're going to see Rashawn Gary kick some. I don't know. I already sworn in this podcast, but I'm trying not to. He's going to do really well. I think Rashawn Gary is going to find himself really disrupting the Houston offensive line. He's really going to get through there. He's going to pump out some sacks. I think he might get a couple sacks in. So Rashawn Gary, that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, you're limiting me to 3. I think a lot of people are going to do well. But I'd say Jamal Williams, Rashawn Gary. And I'm going to give the third one to Aaron Rodgers. Because even though he's probably only going to play 1 or 2.
Well, I don't think he's going to play at all.
What?
I don't think he's going to play at all. He usually plays, I think, week 2.
Okay, well, if he's not playing at all, then I'll give someone. But if he does play, I think he's going to do really well. I think he's going to just be completely on point. If they do give him some snaps, or if they don't, then I'm going to give the 3 spot to, let's say, my guy, Jair Alexander. I think our secondary is so much more diverse this year. We have King, we have Amos, we have Alexander, we have, who else we got? We got Tremont Williams, we got
Darnell Savage.
Yeah, but I think the guy that's going to lead that group this year is going to be Jair Alexander. So, those are my 3 guys.
All right, my 3 players.
By the way, I made that as long as possible.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, it's all good. I mean, it's a podcast. Supposed to be...
Trying to get those minutes
in. Oh, yeah. But my 3 players, first, I mean, I got to agree with you with Rashawn Gary, especially, again, shout out to Lamber Leapers for the updates with him.
Was, by the way, I think that was, when I did the interviews, I think that was Frank Titletown's favorite. Like, he's most looking forward to watching him this year when I did that question. So.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like according, to the reports I've been hearing, and like I said, I haven't really been paying attention much because I've been working, but so thanks to him, Lamb Believers for the updates. Rashawn Gary has been plowing through the offensive lineman of Houston's. So
Yeah.
I'll be excited. It'll be exciting to see him. My second player, Jake Kumaro,
Ooh.
because Jake Kumaro is honestly going to take the big step. I mean, that third position, the wide receiver, is going to be. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a third wide receiver. I think that's going to belong to MVS. But Kumaro,
I see Gmo.
no, Gmo is going to be the second though. It's going to be Devontae 1, Gmo second.
I think Gmo 3. I think MVS 2.
Oh, that a bold prediction?
That is a bold prediction.
Oh.
MVS is going to be number 2 big.
But I think Jake Kumaro is definitely gonna make a case for the 3 spot, but he'll definitely be like honestly top 4, unless St. Brown's.
It's hard not to be top 4 when you have the praise that he gets. Like Rodgers loves that guy.
Oh yeah, but St. Brown too. St. Brown has great hands.
That's true. We forget about him.
I mean, we all have great receivers, so like, I think they can definitely work. But yeah, Jake Kumaro is a player I'm looking forward to in the Texans game. And last but not least, Tim Boyle.
What?
Yeah, Tim Boyle.
Really? What
yeah.
about MVP, Super Bowl MVP Kaiser?
See, like, here's the thing with Kaiser. Like, listen, I love Kaiser. I mean, but I don't know if you watched my podcast recently, top 5 players looking forward to preseason or watch out for. I had Deshaun Kaiser number 4 because last year when he filled in for Rodgers, I mean, I'm not, like, listen, I'm not a football player, so, like, I know it's, like, I should not be saying this about Deshaun, but he did not play well at all in those 2 games where he filled in for Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, that's an analysis right there. I mean, it's true. I mean, you look at the stats.
I mean,
well.
Detroit, I mean, look at the score. The score says enough. 0 points. And week 1 against the Bears, fumble, interception. Or I don't think the fumble was fault. I mean, I don't know. But
it's true. I mean,
Deshaun.
I was a Kaiser fan, but I don't know. I think I don't know if he's going to be that good this year, but I definitely think Boyle could end up being.
Oh yeah, and that's why it's like about Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle, if he has a really good game in these like first 2 preseason, he doesn't need like all 4 preseason games to prove like he can be a 2 guy. He just needs the first 2. If he can play really well in these first 2 games, I think he'll be a 2, the second quarterback.
That's true. I mean, and it's not like he has to play amazing. All he has to do is play better than Kaiser, which, not to be mean, I don't think is too hard to do.
Oh yeah, but like shout out to all the players.
Oh yeah.
Let's stay healthy, and I mean, even if they play bad, they can rebound themselves. But yeah, those are my 3 players. I think
that's a good list.
Rashawn, Tim Boyle.
We'll see. I hope everyone does well.
And Jake Kumaro. Oh yeah, and it's gonna be an exciting time too. But
Oh yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna watch it though. Is it gonna be like live stream somewhere?
Not really, but I mean, I'm planning on watching on NFL Network Friday because I know they're gonna re-air Friday.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the final score will be posted, but it'd be nice to see how the team did because.
True.
But yeah, that's pretty much it with the podcast today. We pretty much discussed, Packer fans, looking forward to the Houston Texans and Packer game.
Yeah, I mean, man, this was a very miscellaneous podcast. We talked about a lot of stuff, but
I mean, it's a podcast.
I very much enjoyed myself, so thank you for having me on. We talked about a ton of stuff. We talked about Packer fans, how we became Packer fans, starting Packer pages, making trends. Talked about season predictions. I mean, we name it. We talked about it.
Oh yeah, and thanks to you for having the time to be on my podcast. I mean, I was thinking of something. I mean, I'll record another one tomorrow, like my thoughts on the game coming up, and I'll post that Thursday before the game starts. Or actually, I'll try to get that as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'll watch it when you post it.
But yeah, thanks to you, and shout out to all the people that we mentioned. It's a long list, so you know who you are, who we shouted out. So. And if any of the guys, we shouted out would like to be on this podcast, just hit up a DM. I mean,
oh yeah,
I know. I mean, I felt bad because like after your SoCal Packer backers, and I totally was not following some of those people. Like, I felt so bad I wasn't following Frank Settletown because I'm like, I thought it was. But, like, here's the thing with summer. Like, the summer is just so bad because I can't, like, I'm focused on work. I'm not really focused on Instagram.
Right. Hey, don't feel bad. I mean, you follow who you follow, but definitely I recommend following all of them.
Oh yeah, and, they're all great people. Frank's, the Drew Cave, all them guys. And if they want to, be on the show, we can discuss football, Packers, anything, honestly.
Yeah, if you want me on, too, if you need content ever in the season, just hit me up.
Yeah, same with you at Packers On Weekly. I mean,
We'll do.
But yeah, I'll have Packers On back for weekly predictions. We're gonna be starting
New
up.
segment, guys. New segment. Get excited.
It'll be me, him, and a bunch of other Packer pages.
Again, breaking new ground, starting new things. This one's all on Packer franchise, so give him all the credit for this big idea.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be starting like a week before we play Chicago. But one expectation: we're not gonna do Packer games because we don't want the comment section just going up in a riot if we pick whoever wins or lose.
Yeah, this will be probably more of like just overall NFL.
But yeah, and who knows, we might even have a separate podcast or a separate series for like discussing the upcoming Packer games.
Yeah, I mean, there's unlimited stuff. But thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Any final words before we?
Watching, make sure to follow Packer franchise, one of the goats of all the Packer pages out there. So make sure to follow.
I wouldn't call goat, but I appreciate it. Be sure to follow my man Packer Zone, get him to 10,000. I mean, we're waiting patiently for him to get that 10,000 club.
One day.
I mean, him, Real Pack Talk, everybody. Waiting.
We'll get there.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. And thank you guys for listening to the podcast. And you guys have a good night. Thanks, guys.